panelists are experts on the Star Wars 3-packs, which are really popular among some collectors. It's so popular that there's even been retro versions of these. So I want to introduce to you Jesse Cedar-Soberman and Mac Dunbar-Bickmore.
Thank you, Gus. And thank you, everybody, for coming. This has been such an amazing journey to get to this point. Of course, all the years of collecting and, learning what I knew up to this point. And then at the moment when, Gus emailed me saying that our panel was accepted, I was speechless and also really excited. And since then, we've just dove in and learned even more and got some really great information. My name is Jesse Cedar-Soberman. I've been collecting 3-packs since I learned about them in the Steve Sansweet, Josh Ling Collector Archive book that came out, 20-something years ago. And Mac?
Yeah, I've been collecting since '94 or whatever, and I have the R2 3-packs.
He's also been he's being humble, he's also been part of some of the finds of in the wild finds of prototype 3-packs and things like that.
Yeah, we'll get to that shortly.
So jumping right into it, this is what a complete set of 16 3-packs would look like, and they're structured in waves. A&H Wave 1 in 1978, A&H Wave 2 in 1979. So these would have been your 12-back figures, and then the second release, 21-back. ESP Wave 1 in 1980, ESP Wave 2 in 1981, and ESP Wave 3 in 1982. So you can see that they have a card back and a shadow box. What we call a shadow box, which is the, shadow box. I don't know how else to explain it, but so it has the classic Star Wars New Hope racetrack striping around it, which is very attractive to some people, and it also has what we call the inner sleeve, which slides in there and has the 3 figures and bubble attached. You could buy these at major department stores like Sears, JCPenney, Frederick and Nelson, Liberty House, Bosco, Mervyn's, Hudson's from Detroit, Simpsons from Canada, and Myers and Walton's in Australia, and even as far as Shirokiya in Hawaii. These are items that have been confirmed by price stickers. So that's the complete set of 16. It's a pretty difficult task to complete all 16, but I think the real question is, what is the story of the 3-pack?
Yeah, why was it why did they even conceive the 3-pack? And we're going to get an answer right now.
In a minute.
Okay.
It's a very exciting guest who's going to join us in a minute. So yes, 3-packs are rare, expensive, highly collectible, and completing a set of all 16 is somewhat of a Herculean feat. But in order to really tell the story of kind of special action figure sets, or commonly known as 3-packs, you have to look back a long time ago, 1978, in a city far, far away, Cincinnati. The story of the 3-pack is a story that encapsulates the business of selling Star Wars. It is a story of creating creative packaging concepts and innovative marketing. 3-packs were created by the Kenner Star Wars product line marketing team as a special item for the department store program aimed at providing an incentive for parents to purchase multiple figures and providing opportunities for parents to give their child a gift with a wow factor to play out their Star Wars dreams. Tom Clark was the Kenner product manager for the Star Wars line from 1978 to 1985. The marketing philosophy at the time, according to Tom, was to treat the product line as if it were the market executive's personal business. In other words, the product manager for Star Wars was almost like a CEO of the Star Wars business. Working with packaging people like Mike Carroll, who was also a Kenner employee at the time, they were able to create a special item with additional marketing opportunities for powerful corporate customers like Sears and JCPenney, as well as other large department stores, using packaging concepts that added virtually no additional cost to Kenner. The cost of creating a mold for a department store exclusive is substantial, but the genius of 3-packs is that they took items which were available to the general public and simply created a packaging variation which required very little relative amount of research and development. So it was a win-win for Kenner, the corporate customer, and the end consumer. Kenner special action figure sets, more commonly called 3-packs, were centered around marketing themes from the movies like heroes, villains, creature, droids, or even androids for some reason. We spoke with Tom Clark, Kenner product manager for the Star Wars line from 1978 to 1985. Let's hear Tom's thoughts on the marketing of 3-packs.
I think the neatest thing is if the kid had a favorite part of the movie, if he was really into the droids, or if he was really into bounty hunters, or the heroes, or things like that. It's like getting all those three together. I mean, that's a special deal. Instead of going to having to buy 1, 2, 3, it's like, wow, they're all here. I would be responsible for looking at these packages and approving them. I would be responsible for approving the layout, the size of the word special, as opposed to the action figure sets, etc. Whatever's on the back of those packages, the cross-sell that we put on there, I would be responsible for making sure what that stuff was. And in the end, taking that pack and package and sending it off to Lucasfilm for their okay.
Thanks, Tom. So here we have what we're calling evolution of an enduring design. And what's neat about this is a packaging concept which exists and is being used to this day by Hasbro. We'll cover the modern 3-packs a little later, but even while I was out on the floor, I saw some packaging that looked very familiar. Some of them had the front covered, but if you look at some of the current Hasbro packaging, they're using the same concept. And so we wanted to show the evolution of this enduring design. And you can see how early on in the earliest mock-ups, there was like a rounded corner, and then that went to more of a square corner. Then you have the 45-degree angle, which is what we eventually ended up with in the production item. One of the also more interesting points about while we're looking at all of them together is if you look at the first and second stages there, you'll notice that the mock-up has a Hildebrandt Luke and Leia, which is in the same configuration as it would be on the poster or the image in the Hildebrandt painting. However, if you look at the next image over, it's been reversed, which is how it ended up on all the 3-packs going forward. So I'm not sure if there's any other Star Wars items that have a reverse Hildebrandt, but we're coining that term now, the reverse Hildebrandt. Mac?
Yeah, so these are the stages of evolution. We're starting out with the production book, a mock-up that was in the catalog, and they just placed the figures inside of a mock-up packaging.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt, but what's interesting is if you look, it's actually a 2D item. The very first mock-up, the dimensions don't make sense for it to be an actual package. It looks like they put the figures...
It's a flat image, basically, and they just put figures on it.
They put figures on top of the orange cardboard, took a photo of that, and then it looks like they cut it out and placed it on top of another flat image and took a photo of that.
And as you can notice, the special is different. Then the next sequence was the pre-production, which was also available at the Kenner employee store, and it has a single hole punch rather than the tab punch, and it has a cover over the front. We'll get into this a little later.
You're talking about the top strip of cardboard, which was between the second and third photos removed.
As you can see, comparing to the last, it was covering the name. So the evolution goes from they cut it out so that you can see the name of the set, and then that's the middle photo, and then they experimented with cellophane instead of blister packs. And so this is a box flat, so it's an unfolded, unused material prototype, and it's cellophane. You can't really see it in the photo.
So Mac has a theory. If you look at any Kenner items that have cellophane, they always feature a tied down figure. So we were theorizing that when they put the cellophane on the box flat, it might have been experimenting with a tied down figure as opposed to a bubble. But we weren't able to confirm that.
Yeah, and the final photo is the production one.
So here we have ANH1, which is your 12-back figures. You have a Android set, hero set, and villain set. And going on with this wave, we have the ANH Wave 1 mock-ups from the 1978 department store program. So part of our objective was to create a comprehensive guide so that collectors could go out and look for these items, and you would be able to know every type of 3-pack item that exists. And if you wanted to add these to your collection, these items don't exist as far as anyone knows. They only exist in an image form in the 1978 department store program. So as a collector, you would simply collect the 1978 department store program, and that would add to your 3-pack focus. Here we have the prototype packaging variant, which is purchased at the Kenner employee store. There's a round punch hole, as Mac noted, and a square hand-cut shadow box. So it was theorized that they had the rounded corners in the box flat, as seen in the mock-up, and that those were hand-cut to square, as you see here. But again, that's not confirmed. We don't know exactly what the original box flat looked like before it was hand-cut. Now this image it has a similar punch, so you can see that it's a prototype. It's an empty box, but it would have been similar to the employee store prototype, and in this case, there's a hand-trimmed shadow box where they removed the top strip. Again, experimenting from a marketing point of view, how to highlight the set name.
And it has the punch hole, the single punch hole.
The round punch, correct.
Yeah.
And so here we have a larger image of the prototype box flat. Now, many people in the past have said, oh, that's just a regular box flat. But when you look at it up close, you can see that it has cellophane in the window. So in all other ways, it looks just like a regular 3-pack, but there's no punch, and there's the cellophane. So again, we thought this is just a stage of them experimenting with different ways to feature the figures inside the box. And then here, finally, we get to the production 3-packs for ANH Wave 1. And they look pretty nice and colorful.
The blue one's the best one.
Mac is an R2D2 collector, so. Now here we have the Kenner Canada Ensemble de Figurines, which is the Kenner version of the 3-packs. You can see that it's bilingual. In most other ways, it's similar. However, there's no description of the set, similar to what you would see on the underneath the words villain set or android set on the American version. It simply says the name in French, like Ensemble des Méchants,
And
or
then-
Ensemble des Androids.
And then note the LP logo, because that's going to come up again.
Long play.
Yeah.
Kenner long
it's
play.
the circle, yeah, right
Okay.
there.
So, and the other item that you'll note is that with the American version, they feature all 3 packs on the back. And in this version, they only feature the villain set and the android set. Now, I do not know if they made the hero set and it just is not featured there because of running out of space by fitting both languages. But to be honest, I've never seen the hero set. So my theory was that they didn't make it.
Do you have any Canadians?
I should also note, these are considered extremely rare. Like 1 or 2 example of each of these exists. I did own that Android set in the photo at one point in time, but I no longer own any of these. They're very hard to get. So we also wanted to, well, before I go into this, I'll read the little caption here. This team of comrades battle side by side with the rebel forces in their struggle against the Galactic Empire. And so this kind of highlights one of the features of collecting, which is run collecting or focus collecting. So Mac, what is run collecting?
A run is you try to get the set, but on every variation. So in this case, I mean, you can't collect. I mean, you can get the department store, catalog, but in this case, you have to get the store prototype, the production, and the Canadian version. So that would complete a run of this.
Yeah, so this is really fun to look at because you can see now how the features that I mentioned earlier, the round corners evolved to the square hand-cut corner, and they still had the strip of cardboard across the top, and then finally it evolved to the production item, which is what we have seen to this day. And this is the hero set run. Can take a look at that for a minute.
There's no Canadian?
We just went over that, yeah, there's no Canadians.
Okay.
And so here we have, again, the villain set with sort of a run of villain sets. So if you wanted to have a complete run of villain set items, you would need the employee store mock-up image from the 1978 department store catalog, the Kenner employee store prototype, which there's about 2 of each of those for the first wave. There's about 2 of each set in that employee store prototype format. There's the production set and the Kenner Canada set. And here we have a Star Wars action figures 3-pack display, Chromalin. So, Mac, what is a Chromalin?
A Chromalin, it's just a test print to see if the colors are right and the layout is correct. And it's just an image that was printed out. And sometimes they would cut this out and make a makeshift model. But moving on to the next one, you can see an unused one, a production unused one, and that's unfolded. And that's what you would do is unfold this and put it on the counter display and sell your 3-packs.
Can you imagine getting a whole case of those? This is what it would have looked like. That's just fun to look at.
I mean, there's different runs in there, but, that's amazing.
And then here we have how you would see them at in advertisements. So we have a Simpsons ad from Canada, which features a Canadian Android set, and here we have the layout of the 1978 department store program. So now we move into A&H Wave 2, 1979. And so here you see they have the special offer up in the right corner. And so this is the first time they introduced a special additional insert, which was included. We'll talk about that a little more later. It's like a cardboard backdrop that you can set your figures in front of and add some play value. And so here we have, again, the mock-up images from the 1979 department store program. Again, it's really cool because they don't have the bubbles. This is really just the marketing team getting ready to start promoting this new wave of figures and the new themes that have risen up since the first wave. So they still have the hero, the android, and the villain set, but now they've added a creature set because they just had to include that theme and they couldn't fit it into the other themes, so they added a 4th set. In this case, they did repeat the Ben and the Luke, the Ben and the Han, and they added a Luke X-Wing instead of a Leia in this case. So here, this is what the special offer backdrops would have looked like. In its final form, it was about the size of, like one, if you fit it into the box, well, here it is. It has these little folding flaps on the side. That's the
Yeah,
final.
and then to explain the packaging better, can you go back to the other slide? Yeah, so those are inner trays. It's like little blisters inside, and if you were to open that up, you could pull out the blister with the figures, and this would be stuck in behind it and the larger blister.
That's right. And so we were very fortunate to get some images which have been published before and some which have never been seen except for by very few people. These are all one-of-a-kind items which were used in the conceptual stage of creating these special offer inserts. So here we have a concept drawing for the A&H Wave 2 special offer insert for the Hero set. It's really cool with the Jawa images and the land speeder and Tatooine in front of a moisture evaporator.
Yeah, they were trying to do illustration style.
And then here we have, this is from my collection. The one on the bottom is a concept drawing for the A&H Wave 2 special offer insert Android set. At this point, they were still calling it an Android set. Those who have, know a little bit about 3-packs will know that in Wave 2, they started calling it the Droid set because people started asking, what is an Android? And, what does it have to do with Star Wars? But you can see that this image is clearly based on the Ralph McQuarrie concept above it. And we talked to Tom Clark, and he said that they did not choose to use the McQuarrie concept images in their marketing because it was a little more fantastical than some of the movie images that they wanted to use. So this is another concept drawing for the A&H Wave 2 special offer insert for the Creature set. And you can see how it's, again, directly based on that McQuarrie concept. And then you got like a little fly passed out, humanoid passed out on a table over there. So this is in somebody's collection. This would be, if you were trying to create a collection of all these, this would be a really hard item to get, but now you know that it's out there. Again, this has actually never been published before.
And then they decided to go with photo art instead. And we have a movie still compared to what was one of the inserts. They flipped it and did a little bit different on it.
So yeah, on the right, we have the photo mock-up, which again would have been used in internal presentations in conceptualizing the special offer insert. The photo on the left is the original concept drawing, in the conceptualization of Star Wars by Ralph McQuarrie. The image on the right is the actual image from Star Wars, and you can see how well they brought that painting to life. But this would have, again, been in the concept phase and was not used in the final product. This is a similar conceptual mock-up for A&H Wave 2 special offer insert for the villain set. This was in my collection. And here we have a conceptual mock-up for an A&H Wave 2 special offer insert Android set and a little micro R2-D2 in the right corner for scale. So the next image is we're going to have to explain what a quality control is. So QC sign-off items were pulled from the production line early in the run for Kenner quality control engineers to confirm that all aspects of the toy and packaging met quality and safety specifications. After inspecting the toy, inspectors would either note corrections that needed to be made or simply sign and date it to note the item had been approved. One will notice the signature and date written in the Star Wars logo area at the top of the card. Items such as this one represent the final stage in the creation and production of Star Wars toys before they were released for public purchase. So again, this is kind of cool if you're like a creature set collector or a Cantina Aliens collector and you have a focus. This would be a prototype or pre-production item that you could add to your 3-pack run or your Cantina run. And here we have the production 3-packs for A&H Wave 2. Here we have a Kenner Canada creature set. Now, Mac noted earlier that the LP logo is still present in the right corner. By this time in American release, the LP logo is no longer being used, and so it's kind of interesting to see it at this point in the production, but also you'll note that they're still using the same back with the 12-back figures. And so the reason for that is that Kenner Canada tended to, for cost-cutting measures, use the same images as often as possible.
And because the outer packaging can be reused, but you can just put a different blister inside.
So yeah, this packaging was very versatile, which again was the genius of the marketing of these 3-packs. So here are some other Kenner Canada 3-packs from Wave 2. These are going to be extremely hard to find. I've never seen most of these, but these are from the Irwin Toys book by Jim McCallum from 20-some years ago, and just proof that they exist in this photo, even though it's kind of a grainy photo. Here we have the Australian droid set, which, Mac, what was the difference with the Australian droid set?
The metric system.
Yeah, they actually use the metric system, right? So they marked out the 3 3/4 inch on the back. So, pro tip, if you ever see action figures that have the 3 3/4 inch marked out, it might be Australian. And then again, here we have the run for the Android set. So these 3 were captured and transported by the Jawas in the Sandcrawler across the Tantuni Desert. That's a direct quote. And again, you can see how it's kind of cool how they started calling it the Android set, and then they later changed it to the Droid set. And they changed it from that blue packaging that was used in the previous wave to the green packaging that was used in the final production item. Here we have the creature set run, which is really a great run that could be put together with the quality control, the production, the Kenner Canada, and the special offer insert concept, and then of course that mock-up image. Here we just have some advertisements. These are Australian ads and the 1979 department store program. And then here we're moving into ESB Wave 1 in 1980, which is considered the big 3. These are the rarest 3-packs. There's others in the later waves, which here or there. Some of them are equally as rare, but these 3 are considered the ones you need in order to complete a set of 16. These are some very early images of these, which are really cool because you'll note, Max, what's really cool about what's going on in the Hoth Rebels there?
Oh, these are prototypes, hand-painted prototypes. Look at those boots, like Girl Scout cookies.
Yeah, and what's also cool is look at the figure configurations. Do you notice anything that doesn't seem right? Is Luke a Hoth Rebel? Is FX7 in the Bespin Alliance? No? So here we have another early mock-up. These are transparencies, which would have been shot by Kim Simmons. And
transparencies are often small, as you can tell by the
scale here. Yeah. So now the Hoth Rebels has FX7, and the Bespin Alliance has Bespin Luke, but it also has Bespin Leia instead of the Bespin Guard. And so, they're messing around with different, they're experimenting with different figure combinations. And so it's really neat to kind of see those stages. Here we have what's called this is the Imperial Forceman Salesman sample from ESB Wave 1. This one, it looks just like a regular Imperial Forces, but if you look close, it has the bubble is stapled. So Mac, what is a Imperial, what is a
salesman sample is where a Kenner employee would go to department stores or meet up with people to here's our product, and It's not, it's usually production, but sometimes it's not. And in this case, it was stapled.
This is also never before seen images of quality control sign-offs for the big three. One of them is missing, but I'm going to get the image and place it in there later, so hopefully we'll see it on the internet someday. But these are signed off by Mike Carroll, who will be noted later as one of the packaging people who worked on this. And so yeah, this is the production for the ESP Wave 1. This is the Kenner Canada Imperial Forces. And again, the long play logo is still there. They just swapped out the Empire for the Star Wars logo, and they're still using the same back. And here we have the Kenner Canada Hoth Rebels. Those two sets would just be really valuable, really rare. And so here we have, you can kind of see how the set changed over time. Those are all the items you could put together if you were really trying to put together a run of Imperial forces. So now, again, going into this, it's really neat to see how they went from the Bespin Guard to Bespin Leia, and then they switched out Bespin Leia and put back in Bespin Guard. And so it kind of got us wondering, why didn't they include
Why did they do that?
Yeah, why didn't they include Bespin Leia? Doesn't it seem like that would be a better figure for the Bespin Alliance? And so we asked Tom Clark, Kenner product manager for Star Wars from 1978 to 1985. So let's see what he had to say.
You really didn't need to have two of your primary figures in a three set. You know, you want a primary figure and then two secondary ones that are still somewhat interesting, but you want to really feature a primary figure and only have one of those to be, so you could use another primary figure for a different three pack.
Thanks, Tom. And then again, we got the Hoth Rebels run. And again, you can see how they switched out the the Bespin Luke for the FX7. And, we have the great mock-up and transparency image, the quality control, the production, and the Kenner Canada. So that would probably be a really expensive run to put together, but it's pretty neat. And then here we have some advertisements, which include an Australian ad. And again, it's interesting to see how the Australian ads were happening all the way from the first wave up through this wave. So it's not clear if all those would have had the measurements marked out, or if they were just shipped over there and distributed as well. But then you also see the 1980 department store program here. So in ESP Wave 2 came out in 1981. One interesting thing about this wave is that the bubbles were almost always yellow. It's really hard to find this wave with clear bubbles. The Rebel set is the rarest of these three. The other two are not that hard to find, but, well, still harder to find than most things. And then we have these mock-ups, which came from the 1981 department store program. And you'll note in ESP Wave 2, they still have the special offer, which in the final product, the special offer was no longer included. And sorry, I forgot to mention, the Empire Strikes Back Wave 1, even though it had the special offer, there was no insert included, and there's nothing included other than the three figures. So people often ask, what's the special offer? Just the three figures, I guess. So, and here we have another chromalin. This is an item that I purchased directly from a Kenner employee several years ago, and I no longer have it in my collection, but I received these great images to use in this presentation. And again, these are one-of-a-kind items. This was used for the inner sleeve just to test the colors and look at markings that might need to be added, like trademark or name, spellings. And even though they didn't catch the Tantuni Desert, that's when one of the chances they would have had to catch something like that. This is an item from my collection. It's a Bespin set quality control sample from Empire Strikes Back Wave 2, signed off by Don Huber in 9/11/1981. So again, this is the quality control, which would have been the final sort of pre-production item, just to make sure everything was up to the standards needed to release the item. Here we have another quality control sample. It doesn't have that strip of paper, but instead it has little markings. And it's interesting because these trademark markings, which
And register markings too, yeah, it was just edited, and some of the figures are X'd out, and they didn't actually make the changes to this piece for production, but they carried on the changes for the next wave, which is interesting.
yeah, and this piece was actually found in the wild by Mac's brother.
Yeah, I think in Japan.
Yep. And then this is the production 3-packs for Empire Strikes Back Wave 2. Here we have the Kenner Canada Bespin set from Empire Strikes Back Wave 2. So at this point, again, it's interesting that Canada had the 3-packs all the way through Empire Strikes Back Wave 2. I've never seen any promotional material for the final wave, which is coming up. So I don't know if Kenner Canada released 3-packs all the way through the final wave. I would conjecture that they didn't, but I can't really prove that. I can only say that I've never seen one.
You can prove it.
But this would have been really rare. And so this is one of the coolest runs of all the 3-packs that you could put together. At one point, I owned that chromalin, the quality control sample, and the production. The Kenner Canada one would just be incredibly hard to find, though. And here we are with the Empire Strikes Back Wave 3 from 1982. They have some really nice colors here. I think one of these is Mac's favorite set.
Oh, yeah, obviously. And this is the last wave ever made. And if you can note, the weapons are above the short figures. This is the first time they ever did that. And there was an Ugnaught in the previous run, and he was holding the bag, but they decided to throw it up above his head. So.
Yeah, so here we have the Empire Strikes Back Wave 3 mock-ups. Again, it's an image only from the 1982 department store program. And in this case, as Mac noted, the luggage or whatever is still in the Ugnaught's hand, but in the final product, it's packaged above the short figure's head. So now, this leads to our next story, which is about there's these white engineering pilot mock-ups, which we'll show you. These were items that Mac and his brother found at Kane County Toy Show.
Yeah, we found these at like 1995 at King County Toy Show. Some guy from Ohio just had them for a few $100s each, and I thought they were like fake.
We'll talk more about that later. Again, this is not these mock-ups, but I'm going to show you the image in a second. It's a white mock-up. But we had the question, why would they do a white mock-up in the final stage, in the last wave?
Yeah.
Why didn't they do that? Or why haven't we seen mock-ups for the first wave? And so we asked Tom Clark about that, and this is what he had to say.
If we thought the weapons, and we did think the weapons were important, as just a constant effort to try to improve the merchandising, we would say to Mike Carroll, hey, Mike, can you do a couple packaging concepts that show us how we can show off the weapons? And that would be a white box generating idea.
So it was the weapons that needed the mock-up change, and at the time they were using white material to do mock-ups, and that's why we only see this wave in white mock-ups. And I found these guys. I no longer own them, but they're awesome.
Yeah, so it was a real revelation for us because we never really thought about it. These were part of our collection. It's actually how we became friends, is that we both owned one of these white mock-ups.
Yeah.
And we used to chat about it on Rebel Scum boards. And it's both of one of our biggest regrets is selling these white mock-ups. So there's about 2 of each of these. One was sold by Inigo, the designer of Bathing Ape, a few years ago in a famous auction. But it was a revelation to us to understand why they had a white mock-up in the final wave. And it's because, in essence, this is the cheapest way to conceptualize a new marketing concept without sending it out to printing or anything like that. Is this, like you said, hey, Mike, why don't you, and that's Mike Carroll, why don't you mock us up a concept that features the weapons? And so that's why we have a white mock-up, because you'll see it at the beginning stage or when they're making a change. And again, Chromalin, this is signed off by Kay Collins. We asked Tom about each one of these guys, and he had a little story for each one, but there was so much good information that we had to cut out just for time. And this is also photographed by Kim Simmons. It's a transparency of one of the images that's used on the back in Empire Strikes Back Wave 3. So there'd be a lot more transparencies out there like this. I couldn't find them all, but there'd all be one or two of a kind. But you could find images like this, and they're somewhat relatively less expensive than the actual 3-pack or other pre-production items. And then here we have the production Empire Strikes Back Wave 3. Here we have the run. Again, I actually used to own this whole thing, and now one of my friends owns it. And here we have the 1982 department store program. Now, one of the mysteries of 3-packs is why didn't they make any for Return of the Jedi? And what makes it even more mysterious is that it was included in the 1983 department store program. So you see two different images here. On the left, Chief Chirpa is covered over because it was still a secret figure. And on the right, Chief Chirpa is uncovered. But that's not Chief Chirpa.
It's Chief Chirpa.
That's low grade.
Yeah, that's low grade.
Oh, yeah, good.
Who is that?
And so here we have a close-up of what the 2 3-packs would have looked like, Rebel set and Imperial set. It's a loose, somewhat more loose theme, but again, it would have been great. And we don't know why they didn't make them, because it got all the way up to the stage of creating an ordering form. But we did ask Tom Clark. So let's see if Tom Clark has any insight as to why they didn't make it.
I cannot even imagine why. The only thing would be if all of a sudden 3-packs just weren't, department stores not interested in buying it.
Still a mystery. The guy who made them doesn't even know. Okay, so that's it. We're just going to tell you a couple of cool stories now. We're done. That's the comprehensive guide to 3-packs. This is the Lemkiel brothers out of Cincinnati. They know a bunch of Kenner employees, and they found out they were cleaning out one of these employees' house, and they got permission to go dumpster diving. And they found one of these 3-packs, which was a prototype from the Kenner employee store. They got it packaged up. I would imagine that thing's worth about $30,000 now. These are actually 3-packs that I found in Hawaii, and I was really interested in these because of the Hawaii price stickers from stores in Hawaii, and it proves that they were distributed in places that otherwise people might not have thought about.
Yeah, and then here's the population from AFA that were submitted. This is a recent count of, and so basically you can see the ratio of how it was. It started to dwindle as it went into the later runs. The most common is the Creature set from '79, and one of the rarest is the Rebel Alliance, the Bespin Alliance.
The Bespin Alliance is considered the hardest set to find, but you can see as for the population of 3-packs submitted to AFA, there's about 3 that have a population of 10 and 2 that have a population of 11.
And
all those are very hard to find.
This is up-to-date counts.
This was from AFA as of 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, and then we got the continuation of 3-packs to today. There's a Luke set, and yeah, this one's sparkly.
So they basically redid most of the original ones, and then they added some new and more imaginative ones, both from the previous trilogies and the current
like
content.
the Dr. Aphra, and but
So
they,
again,
they kept the same packaging idea, which
Exactly.
is awesome.
It's this enduring design which is used from 1978 through to this day, and you can still find at a department store.
Yeah.
So
and
how
they
amazing
even-
is that?
They carry the reverse logo too.
So thank you all for showing up.
Yeah.
Thanks to all the people that contributed. Thanks, Gus, everybody.